All righty then. Well, instead of 50-year-old men, you want to talk about some 25-year-old women.
All right. I don't know where you're going, but let's do it. What do you got in mind?
Well, that's the best thing I can say about them is they're not 50. The women's title was on the line with Toni Storm, old timeless Hollywood Toni, with Luther dressed up as Burgess Meredith and Rocky, against Megan Bayne with Penelope Pitstop dressed up as a truck stop floozy that got misdirected and a free ticket to the wrestling matches. And Brian, you asked me to watch this because you said that many people are saying, a lot of people saying it, that at least this AEW women's match was getting better. And I was half and half on this because the first half I thought, well, they've done a wonderful job. And by the end of it, I thought, I hate this maybe more than anything else. And they turned me right in the middle. Obviously, Toni Storm is over. She's popular with their fan base for all of this black and white tomfoolery and all the shit that, because they like to watch wrestling that they can laugh at and not take seriously. And they've come to the right place. But Toni Storm can work. And she's got experience, and she was the leader here. And she knows what she's doing. And for the first half of this thing, it was a basic big girl, little girl match where Megan used her size, and it was basic. And Toni Storm was doing the running around, and all Megan had to do was be in the right place. And she ended body slams and showing the power. And then, the Penelope interfered with a leg trip to start the heat. And again, it was basic shit, but Megan, everything she was doing was looking good. And it was following, and okay, on a show this long with all this much bullshit, it's nice just see one-on-one. We've got a match. We're establishing the big heel as dominant physically, and Toni Storm, everybody's hero, blah, blah, blah. And then Penelope interfered again, and finally Luther grabbed her and carried her off. And the people start going crazy, and then Toni starts a comeback, and the people are up. The fans are going. And a boom, boom, boom. And then she put on a submission hold on Megan and brought the whole thing to a halt. And Megan got kind of a halfway, half-ass rope break that wasn't really milked in any kind of fashion. And then Megan cuts her off again. And that was the first half. And right there, the people were into it. The heel manager being carried off by the babyface manager, if you can be that charitable to call him that. And then the babyface makes her comeback. Go into your fucking finish. Every match on this marathon doesn't have to be 20 minutes long. Everybody doesn't have to do everything that they know how to do. They're just allowed to. And that's why it's so long and so repetitive. Now, Megan has cut Toni off again. She turns her back to Toni Storm and starts climbing the turnbuckle like she's climbing up for a moonsault. But Toni Storm gets up and comes and tries to pull her off, and she just shoots Toni a back elbow and keeps climbing with her back to Toni Storm. And she comes back and she knocks her away again. What the fuck? How are you good? The girl is already up trying to pull you off the turnbuckle. You give her one fucking elbow. You don't even look to see where she is. And you're continuing to climb up with your back turned to her to do this moonsault. Why? And then Toni Storm gets up there and gave her a belly to back off the top, flipping her over where Megan Bayne almost landed on her brain. She barely got turned. And then both of them were down forever selling that. And then They traded forearms. Never seen that before. And there was more back and forth. And Megan hits a couple big suplexes and gets a 2 count. But they looked great. Then momentarily later, Toni Storm's fine and she's doing reversals and she hits a German suplex and an ass in the face and a headbutt and 3 ass in the faces in a row and a pile driver and covers Megan. 1 count. I'm a God damn it. Way to make everybody look bad. And then Megan gets up after the German suplex, the ass in the face, the headbutt, the 3 asses in the face, and the pile driver. Megan gives her a backdrop, a clothesline, and a power bomb, and doesn't cover her. Picks her up and goes for the F5, and Toni foils that into a small package. 1, 2, 3. What the fuck is the matter with these people? Did they ever go to wrestling school? Who is telling them to do this shit? And again, in this 4.5-hour show, and with everybody doing everything else, a girls' match, they're kicking out of fucking pile drivers and multiple fucking finishes. And they're not only just kicking out, but they're just fine. They're just okay. When they had them going and Luther carried the heel girl out and Toni Storm made her come back, if she'd have then hit the 3 asses in the face in a row, and if they wanted to make Megan a big physical monster, 3 asses in the face, cover 1, 2, she kicks out. Holy shit. Spin her around real quick into the goddamn power or the pile driver that Toni Storm does. 1, 2, 3. There's a finish, and you could have knocked the last 7 minutes off of that. Oh, but the fans were cheering some more of the shit they did. Yes. I don't care. Long show, more important things to come. Don't do everything you can possibly do on every show for the rest of your life tonight, and you'll have something left over. But instead, we get these shows that never end, and it's always the same shit. I believe I mentioned that earlier in the program. What'd you think, Brian?
Well, in terms of the booking, I don't think it was necessarily the same thing as Kevin Knight losing in the second match, but I thought they should have put the belt on Megan Bayne here. I thought the time's right. She's impressive. She hasn't lost yet. Don't fuck anything up yet. But instead she lost. It was a surprise victory. I mean, she took a hell of a beating, but it was the roll-up that gets them. That's what always happens. I'm a big fan of hers. I have to say, I watch her, and I'm like, that's a pro wrestler. I think she's really good. I like her more than I like Toni Storm.
Well, and part of that is that obviously this girl is still green, and Toni was leading her through a bunch of this stuff. But the problem also is that Toni think that this was good shit to do, or did they make her do this ridiculous number in the finish? But Megan, yes, she's got the size, she's got the look. She makes Toni look even more pale because she's so tan. And now I'm finding out from people tweeting me and chiming in that apparently Megan has been in the business for like 8 years. She was training somewhere in 2017. She went to OVW for a while. Not that that's an endorsement of anything at this. I'm talking about the current modern day OVW, not anything that I ever had anything to do with. So please. But, and she's also, somebody said, had 2 long stretches where she wasn't working. Maybe she was injured, whatever. I don't know, but still, she can be led here. She looks good. She did everything right. She was in the right place, but we can't, I don't know that we can keep looking at her like, oh, she's brand new if she's been around somehow for 7 or 8 years. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, when I originally saw her, I said, what's the matter with her that the WWE didn't snatch this up? And, again, there's a ton of potential here. I hate that if she wants to make money in the business, well, if she wants to draw money in the business, she's in the wrong place. If she wants to make money, she'll probably do fine here. But if she wants to be a star, time may be running out to not teach her too many bad habits. She needs to get out of this environment.
If they wanted her to be a bigger star, they should have put the belt on her here. It wouldn't hurt Toni Storm. Toni Storm is like, she's better in the ring. I'm not saying she isn't, but she's like a female Santino. It's a comedy character the fans like.
Yeah.
She doesn't need the belt. Megan Bayne, you put the belt on her, you have the most impressive looking female as your champion throughout wrestling. But we'll see what happens.
Well, but then
Tony Khan, what do I know? Tony Khan knows best.
Well, but then also you got the same thing. Is there something the matter with her mentally? Because I said, is she a goofball? Because all the visual stuff is there. Why haven't we seen big things before now? But who knows?